Bollinger from the Forum Committee, for those of you who don't know me. And this is a particular forum that we have wanted to have for many, many years, and that is one to really share with all of us, particularly our newer members, the wonderful history and tradition that was established 41 years ago by the group of people that are sitting in front of you. And what I would like to do is have them tell the story. I was going to have it start with Don Wheat, who was the minister at that particular time, but Vivian is going to have to leave in about at 10:20. So Don, would you like to do a short introduction, and then we'll have Vivian
Why
talk?
don't we let her go first?
Okay.
Sure. No, that's fine, Vivian. Go ahead.
We'll have Vivian start then, because she has another obligation, and then I'm going to turn it, then I'll come back
I'll
with the
bet we know what
microphone.
it is, really.
Okay, you got to tell us what it is, Vivian, okay? So, here we go, Vivian Matthews. So, please introduce yourself and tell us what you were doing 41 years ago and how you got involved in this fabulous program, okay?
Thank you. What I was doing 41 years ago, I don't remember. But my name is Vivian Matthews, and I worked in this community. I worked at the high school, Austin High School at the time. I have lived in this community more than 50 years. And the reason I stayed is because I always felt that I could help make a difference. And that was a passion that I had, trying to help children. I was a librarian at Austin High School, and how I got the Third Unitarian Church, well, you probably know by now, Roberta Wilson. Roberta will call you. She will harass you. She won't let go. And to get her to stop, you just give in. But her passion for the people in this community was what kept, that's what pulled me in. Because she wanted to be able to help make a difference, especially in our young people's lives, especially those that probably didn't feel much hope and didn't think that they could provide anything that would be a success. And she wasn't looking for the brightest students. She was looking for students that possibly had hope. And the truth is that I really think Third Church, I thank you for your caring and I thank you for being bold and brassy and brave and just stepping out there, making dreams possible for many of our young people. You started small, but now you produce huge numbers. And for the students that you've helped, that I know of, that I've worked with personally, you've helped produce doctors and lawyers. As a matter of fact, one of the students that graduated from Austin is my lawyer. And my husband said, he said, are you sure he knows what he's doing? I said, he graduated from one of the best. Robert Rattler, his first undergraduate degree was from Amherst College. And then he went to law school and he worked the state's attorney's office. And when we got ready to purchase our home, I said, I know this kid, He used to come to the library all the time. And he ended up being our family lawyer. We have had students that were doctors that went to Austin that received the scholarship. We have some that are teachers now. We have some that one of my former cheerleaders is an entrepreneur. She owns a boutique. daycare providers. Several of our students were interns for Congressman Danny Davis in Washington. So you have helped a lot of students. Some are nurses, and there are others with so many more careers. And every time I go someplace, somebody say, Miss Matt, I said, one of the students from Austin. But you made dreams possible for many people. And it wasn't a matter of just African American children. It was just youth, children of all ethnic groups. We have had kids from the social justice schools that are Hispanics. We have had other kids. So making a difference in the lives of young people, you can't beat that. And that's something that they will live with. And that's something that you can dream about, you can be proud of. And through your work, you've had support from other Unitarian churches. And this congregation stayed in this community. You have made a big difference in our children and youth lives here. Probably if we could round up all of them, I can't imagine how many it would be. But on behalf of just a member of this community, from everything that's within my soul and within my heart, I want to say thank you. Thank you for helping our children. Thank you for helping our youth. Because of what you have done over the years, many people's lives have changed. Some have gone on to do great things, and some will return back. And that's a great thing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vivian.
Thank you.
I feel she was a great lead-up act, don't you all think? And thank you, Vivian. I hope that it has been recorded because very heartfelt and helpful things. So now I want to turn it over to the Reverend Don Wheat, who is our Minister Emeritus and who was the minister at the time that this grand program began. So, Don, you can set the context and introduce your fellow founders, okay?
Whoops. I will be more personal and more autobiographical here than I ever was in the pulpit. My father worked for General Motors on the assembly line and was a member of the Rubber Workers Union in Dayton, Ohio. My mother was a clerk in women's fashions at the department store there. My father felt I should go to college, but at the University of Dayton and live at home. My mother was sympathetic to what I wanted, but what could she do on a clerk's income? The solution was, of course, the church. My denomination's college in Ohio was Hiram College near Cleveland. My congregation sent money to support it, and our minister simply designated that the $500 was for me. By working in the summer and waiting tables at college, I could almost make it. The solution to almost making it was to rent my bedroom to Howard Drake. The $7 a week rent was mailed to me each Monday, and that was my spending money for the week. It never occurred to me or to my parents to visit the college. We didn't have a car for one reason. And so one morning in September of 1951, I was put on a train to Cleveland. The point of this is that $500 from my church made a world of difference in my life. Well, I had left TUC in 1975 to be minister of the Unitarian Church in Albany. And when I was called back, what Don Newbart called the second coming, I had three ideas: to start a literary magazine, which the Albany Church had, and which here became the Kaleidoscope and the Apogee, and to start an endowment fund realizing that a small congregation cannot exist on its weekly offerings, but it must be a partnership with the living and the dead, i.e., Bob Downs would make your will free if it included the church in it. And third, to start a scholarship fund. Roberta recalls that we began with two $250 scholarships. It went from there to 20 $1,000 scholarships the year that Senator Carol Moseley Braun gave the lecture or the sermon. It is estimated that we have given away $500,000 to an estimated 600 students. That could have given our minister a red Cadillac. It could have installed air conditioning in the sanctuary or granite countertops in the kitchen. But oh no, we had our priorities, and the youth of the community was high on our list. There are a number of reasons why we were able to succeed. First and foremost was Roberta Wilson and Eleanor Lukaczewski, who could not be here today. They were like dogs with a bone. They were a hold of something and they were not going to let go. Then there was Vivian Matthews and Earl Williams, who were our moles at Austin High, distributing our brochures and our applications to gifted students. There was Harry Axelrod, who about 25 years ago made the decision not to give an annual scholarship, but to give a scholarship every year to his wife Margaret, who graduated from Austin High in 1935. There were our kissing cousins in Winnetka, the Congregationalists, who made an annual contribution of up to 5 scholarships each year. There was Earl Batoy, winning the $17 million Illinois lottery, which established the Garland Batoy Fund, donating an annual scholarships in memory of his mother Mamie and his friend Cliff Garland and other people as well. There were our stalwarts here at TUC on the scholarship committee, like Ron Chu and Rob Lundy, who have gone on to their rewards. All congregations have high holy days. My daughter recently was at the Unitarian Church in Texas, where they had the blessing of the pets, and she almost sat down upon a snake. Our highest holy day has been Scholarship Sunday. How I remember Carolyn Goodman, the mother of Andrew Goodman, the slain civil rights worker who was killed in Mississippi, spoke. And the next year, Ben Cheney, the brother of James Cheney, who died along with Andrew in Mississippi. There was Whitney Young's sister, Arnita Boswell, and Jackie Bond, and Jesse White, and Arnie Duncan. And yet, in spite of all this, we still had a great sense of disappointment. We really thought that our scholarship fund was an experiment. We thought that other congregations would chip into our fund, or that they would start one of their own. There are 20 Unitarian other congregations here in the Chicago area, and over 1,000 in the United States. How many churches and synagogues are there in Chicago area alone? How many alumni are there of Austin High? How many are there like myself who received handouts so that they could go to college? I doubt if there is one of us here who does not have a mother or a father, a brother or a sister, a son or a daughter, a husband or wife, who does not deserve and would be honored to have a scholarship given in his or her memory on May 24th. I know this sounds very preachy, but that's what I am, a preacher.
Let's hear from Mr.
Earl
Williams.
next.
Yeah.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I don't have a lot of comprehensive notes, but I probably, as a principal, always looked at the students. My name is Earl Williams, and I started on the west side at Crane High School. At that time, it was Crane Tech High School. It was then Crane, Lane, and Tilden were tech schools. I finished there and way at the top of the class, but I didn't have enough money. Even they got me a scholarship, I couldn't use it because I didn't have enough money to go. So they started at the time Crane Junior College. And of course, I kept on going to school and went in the after work, worked in the factory, went after work. I loved chemistry. took a chemistry class, and the power of teachers is something. One of my teachers in an evening school said, "You do so well, why don't you try to get into a 4-year college?" And I did. We ended up at Chicago Teachers College. At that time, you could pay $20, which I could afford, for a registration fee, and you got everything else if you could get there. To get sort of focused on this, I went back happily. I had asked for, when I left Austin in 1991, I asked for a copy of every yearbook. And last week I just sat and looked at every yearbook and see how many students could I remember out of that time. And reflecting and looking at that yearbook, there were pages, the special pages, Harold Washington speaking at our graduation, Oprah opening The Color Purple and giving it to Austin and battered women and the homeless. And Oprah wasn't as famous then, because this was in the mid-'80s, but she came out and they opened the premiere of The Color Purple for Austin High School, and all of the monies from that night in Chicago went to this community. I think out of the experience, and I'll be historical out of mine too, not being able to go to college, being encouraged by one teacher to go further, and then ending up at Austin. I was the 10th principal in 100 years. Austin had had 10 principals when I came there. Met Harry, and I reached out. We had all the plaques along the wall, and some had fallen. And I had them there, and I put them back up on the wall. Those who had served in the wars, from First World War, Second World War, and ended up meeting Harry. Met Harry and found out there was another class reunion that happened, and I got invited to that other class reunion. So out of meeting Harry, at one point, Austin had 16 students, and this was long before they had something called posse, where you sent a lot of students so they could support each other, because they were first generation, as I was, first generation college attendees. Having first generation college attendees, your parents have no idea of what all those fees are, and this is, and lab fees and other things. My family worked at on Jefferson Lake in something called a plating shop at that time, where they plated the casings for mixers and all of those things. I hope I'm coming through. But they worked in a factory down on Lake in Jefferson. And they had no idea of what it was to go to college, be a full-time student in college. And so when Roberta, again, wouldn't be without Roberta, Vivian Matthews, and we met Don, and that's when this whole idea, and looking at demographics of Austin at the time, most of the students that we helped were first-generation college attendees. And their parents, like mine, had no idea of what it took to support them. Teachers like Vivian drove the students once they got a scholarship. They couldn't get there. Teachers drove them to campus, picked them up on the holidays so that they wouldn't be on the campus by themselves. Those were the kinds of, that's the kind of impact. Well, that impact has affected me to today, because I changed focus, but I didn't retire. I've been serving on this board of directors for a foundation that now addresses the needs. We have 22 sites in Chicago, mainly in Roseland and Inglewood. And it's for the chemical dependencies, mothers too soon, homeless, and AIDS. We address those problems in that community. And after 8 years, I've been able to establish another. I took every address that we had service centers in and said, where would I go to school if I lived there rather than being serviced there? For the first year, after 8 years, we gave away 23 scholarships using those schools as our home school for first-generation college attendees. And we hope that that will continue. It's called Human Resources Development Foundation. But it grew out of you after my support and the support you've given this community. It hasn't left me or my feelings for your dedication, and you're sticking with it, so that you're staying with it. And I see the same faces every June. And I want to thank you for all of your support and all of the things you've done to make this happen.
Well, thank you, and isn't it lovely to know we have Baby Austin scholarships going on today in a different organization. So now I would like to have Betty Harris talk a little bit about her role and her thoughts on the scholarship program.
All right, good morning. Well, what happened is that I was called by Don Wheat, and he asked me if I would be on the scholarship committee. This was something new. Of course, I said yes. And so, I also, from my background, I also knew that giving and providing a scholarship, even though it wasn't going to pay for a whole year of college, would mean a lot to these students, to the students. And this is because for me, my parents, well, when I was born, I was born during World War II, and it was the thing to buy savings bonds. So my dad bought savings bonds when I was an infant, so I knew he wanted me to go to college. However, my parents did not know how to manipulate through a system and to make sure that they spoke to counselors, to make sure I took the right courses and all like that. So then when I was at the age of 18, when I graduated, the principal of the school called and said, "Oh, we have money, a scholarship money. Betty certainly qualifies," although my parents had not applied and I had not applied for any scholarship from school, from my high school in Bangor, Michigan. And so I received a very small scholarship from the school, through the Bangor High School. This meant a lot to me because I said, here's the principal where he realized that I had worked and studied hard. He evidently knew that obviously my parents did not know how to go through and manipulate through the system. And no counselor had ever suggested that I apply for a scholarship. And so I felt that the principal sort of went out of his way to make sure that I got the scholarship. So I was really very, very energized by that. And so that was my first experience of having anyone outside of my family to see me as a person that was deserving of getting support. So I'm not going to go through this long story because there's a very, very long story. However, when Don asked if I would be on the scholarship committee, I said yes, because I realize how important it is for people that you don't even know, for them to realize that there is a community and it exists here at Third Unitarian Church where we care and we're concerned. And so I was on the scholarship committee maybe more than once. I have not done 41 years, as Miss Roberta has done, okay. And during some of that time, Roberta and I we would drive to different schools outside of Austin, and we went to some schools on the south side. What is the one that had the peacocks and the? Dunbar. We even went to Dunbar on the south side, and we talked to the school, we talked to the principals, we talked to the counselors there to make sure that their students were aware of our scholarship. So it's a tremendous job, and it's tremendous in terms of what the students receive in terms of support from us. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Betty. And now, Miss Roberta. how do I introduce you other than, I think she's been introduced by everybody so far today, right? Thank you for your role.
Good morning. I'm a little nervous. I'm not a microphone person. But I was born in Georgia. I didn't have an opportunity to go to college until I came to Chicago. When I came to Chicago, I went to Crane Evening School and I got my GED. Then later on, I got busy with the civil rights movement on the west side with Doug Andrew and all of my folks. And then I got started out here in the streets. So later on in life, I got married. The man ran off and left me, I ran off and left him. But all at the same time, I saw that the time that my parents gave me, I have 6 sisters and 1 brother, that I didn't have the opportunity that the young people have today to go to college. As I say, I got my GED from Crane Evening School. What I'm trying to say is, I'm not a speaker, but I'm going to do the best I can. I saw and I see the needs of education. I didn't have a chance, and I want to be sure that my children and your children all have an opportunity to go to college. And when Don Wheat says, best thing that we could do for Austin is give some scholarship to some students in the Austin community. My role really is, I'm out here struggling in the streets. I'm from Georgia, but you know, you have to tell a lie and say I'm from Atlanta, but I'm from a little small town called Thompson, Georgia. I works with the Chicago Teachers Union. I works with Miss Matthews, Mr. William, Don, and Betty. I'm out here in the streets. I got what you call a PhD in streetology. And what I'm really saying is that I know that the young people who out here in the streets need some help. And the only way they're going to get this help is by me, you, and the rest of us. This scholarship means a lot to me. It really means a lot to me. And I don't mind. I'm surprised that I ain't got a bag over here right now asking you for $1, quarter, or something to help some students. But it is really a great honor for me to be here at Third Church and to work with the committee. And on the other hand, I probably wouldn't be here at Third Church if it wasn't for Dr. Bureau and Don Wheat. Because when the community did not let the black kids and the white kids have meetings, and Third Church door was open with Dr. Bureau and Don Wheat. So what I'm saying is, I need your help to continue this scholarship to continue. I'm working on a committee. Kathy Jean, Jerry Parker, Jerry Jakes, who else? Barbara Minor, Vivian Matthews, somebody I'm leaving. Helen Savinsky, Vivian Stewart, and Carla Chu, and Vivian Matthews. And what I'm really saying is, we need your help. Sometimes things get rough, but I feel like that I got that PhD, and I use it. So I want to say thank you all very much. And this is something, Eleanor is not here, that's my Ace Boone. Me and her calls each other all the time, and we talk about the scholarship. And without her, and I, and Betty, and Don, and Mr. William, we would not have this scholarship for 41 years. So I want to thank you all for listening to me. I'm a little nervous, but I'm here. Thank you very much.
Our heartfelt appreciation for wonderful presentations and frankly, sharing the personal stories that make it even come more alive to all of us, what the program has meant to each of these wonderful people individually, but how that inspired them to make a difference for the community. We'd like to open it up to questions now and comments. So, questions? Yes, Johanna.
I'm just curious about how you get the word around and how you pick the scholarship recipients. You mentioned about you guys sliding around the halls, passing out applications, but.
Okay, so the question is how the word gets out and how the scholars are chosen. So I'm going to hand it to Roberta to answer that question.
We go into the schools, and remember, I belong to the Chicago Teachers Union, and without the Chicago Teachers Union, I would have been fired a lot of time. I worked for the board for 33 years, okay? And when I go to the house meeting, I see these counselors, and I say, hey, you know, don't you have some students that want to go to college and so forth like that? But we go to the schools like Michelle Clark, Crane, Al Raby, Whitney Young, Steinmetz, Farmer. We go to all the schools in Austin, Politics. We go to these schools. The committee usually go to these schools in social justice. And we give applications to the counselors. And it's up to them to, you know, go to the kids and ask the kids to fill it out and then send it in to us. And then also another little thing that we do, we only try to just give 2 scholarships to each school because we want to be sure that we share with the other schools.
Thank you. And one of David Bollinger's biggest treats is he drives Miss Roberta to those schools. And as he says, the waters part when we come into the school because everyone from the security guard knows Miss Roberta. So this is done, and I think Barbara Miner also goes out to actually deliver the scholarships. So another question? You may have to wave your hand because my vision isn't all that great. Okay, Jerry?
And how are they chosen?
And how are they chosen, Roberta? What kind of process do you and the committee use once you get all these applications in hand?
We usually have a meeting. The committee usually meet once the what am I doing?
You're okay.
The committee usually meet, and then once the committee meets, we invite all the kids to come to the church. And one of the things that we tell him or her, we are not talking religion. Then once we interview him or her, then that's when we decide as a committee, you know, to accept Johnny or Henry or Bill or Sue. So far, for the last few years, we has never turned anyone away. We usually have these here $2 or $3, and we usually try to share with them. We want to be sure that they go to college and come back to the community and help us young folks like me.